there's a food chain when it comes to the summer recruitment window, and unfortunately Rangers are some way down it. Obviously, I think you'll see a lot of Premier League clubs. I mean, it's always it's a sort of false economy, these big tournament summers, because I think people can get lured into if somebody has a great tournament, they'll go and take a punt on them. But how often do you see guys who just sort of come to life for 3-4 weeks in the summer, and then they're so burnt out from the exertions of a long season and then a tournament end that they don't really kick on and whatnot. But listen, I mean, like, I think what you'll find is that a lot of the business will get done after the World Cup sort of gets underway, and then Rangers, where they are, will have to wait for things to shake up before they can get the guys, maybe the guys in the fringes or bigger clubs, they'll have to wait for those guys to get the green light to move on. So where they're at right now, obviously there's only been a couple of rumours. Obviously Brian Reynolds was the one this week. My understanding is that he's on a list that Rangers are looking at. I think there's been reports in Belgium saying that a bid was getting in. Scott Burns this week reported for us say that that's not the case. But obviously it'll be somebody that Rangers will know well. They obviously scouted Westerlo last year quite extensively in terms of bringing in two Ronses. So Brian Reynolds, American internationalist, played on the opposite side. Obviously missed out in the US World Cup squad. It's a strange one, because I think there's so many. All the reports I've seen him is he's a guy that's attributes going forward, but has areas games defensively that might be.
Sounds familiar.
I mean, Rangers fans have got pretty recent experience of a right back who fits that sort of bill. So whether or not he's been signed, because obviously James Tavernier leaving has left a position vacant there. Now you ordinarily go, Dujon Sterling's there as cover, so you only maybe need another right back. But obviously we all know about Dujon Sterling's propensity, if you want to call it that, to get picking up niggles and injuries. Might mean that maybe they look to bring in two fullbacks this season. So is Brian Reynolds, maybe just the second choice one, and they've got somebody else who's higher up their list that they're looking at. That remains to be seen. But listen, I think it's going to be a busy summer. I mean, I was speaking to somebody at Ibrox this week, and things have gone slow, just as you're saying. They're waiting for things elsewhere to sort of ramp up. I think obviously, the last couple of weeks are the same, and it's been so eerily quiet in terms of rumours. Even every day I'm speaking to, you're speaking to agents, you're speaking to people around the club, trying to find out what's going on, if they can give you any sort of any tidbits here or there, and even those guys are saying no, it's very quiet right now. I know the club are sort of beavering away. Dan Purdy, Jim Gillespie, chief executive, I think they're heading over to America this week to maybe cast an eye at the World Cup. So listen, I think there will be business ramping up the next few weeks, but I just think it's where Rangers are in the pecking order. They're going to have to wait for business elsewhere to get done before they can sort of look to make their own moves.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan point of view, I'm not too worried yet, because I was always expecting this summer.
I mean, put it this way. I mean, Douglas, just put it this way. I don't even think Danny Rowe's back in the country yet. No. I think he's obviously went away to spend some time with his family. I mean, it's 2-3 weeks since the season ended. I mean, we're still as much as you're absolutely right, you say, like, I think the players are back a week on Monday. That's when they report back for pre-season. So, I mean, the days that you have in 5-6 weeks off are over. It's quite a tight turnaround. But I think even the first sort of tranche of players coming back will mostly be the fringe guys. Obviously, they're not national boys. They need to get time off after their time at the World Cup. So, it could be a few weeks yet before you see the full squad together. And, listen, we know just the likelihood is that Rangers will do the majority of their business sort of late on in the window, heading towards maybe even September. But certainly, you wouldn't surprise me when you think about beginning of last season. Cyril Dessers was the starting centre forward for Rangers for the first 3-4 games of the season, and before Yusuf Chermiti came in. So the team that starts the first game of the season might not look very much like the team that kicks off at the start of September.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for Danny Rowe's point of view, of course, is there's already scepticism about him. If we have a poor start to the season, we're going to need to go to Parkhead in the first 4 games probably. Mm-hmm. wouldn't shock me too much for us to be sent to Tynecastle as well. Those are, a big challenge for him to try, to turn around the mood of the club. I suppose it's not just about incomings as well. Right now, of course, we've got guys who we might be wanting to offload. We've got a few guys coming back for loan. Ben Davies is off the wage bill. One of my most ingrained moments in my Rangers memory, it will live rent free in my head forever, was him taking a corner in Prague just as he was playing at left back. I've never seen more baffled faces in a pub in my life. I've got to say, we still talk about it to this day. But he's off the books. But there's another few guys, your Danilos, your Ross McCauslands, your Jose Cifuentes. I mean, we need to get these guys off the wage bill.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Davies will be a big chunk. Obviously, he spent, I think it was last season at Oxford, season before that at Birmingham, and they would have been contributing, but he was on a hefty wage. Danilo is on a pretty hefty wage himself. He's coming back, having obviously went to Nijmegen last season, and I don't think really, set the heather alight. Listen, I know from speaking to people at the club these days that they're going to be striking a far harder bargain when it comes to wages and salaries, and they're certainly not going to be sort of burning the tens upon tens of thousands that they were dishing out, certainly under Michael Beale. But that should be, with these guys coming off the wage bill, hopefully that should give Danny Rose some more money to spend, whether it be, give them a sort of stronger hand when it comes to guys on free transfers and Bosman sort of deals. But I mean, it is remarkable that Ben Davies was until last week still a Rangers player. I mean, this is a guy who sort of coming in under, I think he came under Gio Van Rongen. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, you think back to that summer, that was really the beginning of Rangers sort of spiral into the sort of depths that they are now. Just that was the first sort of failed summer transfer drive, and then you've probably had 3-4 successive, failed windows after that, and it's culminated to the point of Rangers, finishing third last season. So this has to be a sort of clean slate for the club. It has to be a fresh start. They have to get rid of the deadwood and start adding quality. They have to start adding characters.